Hey guys, back again. Today I'm going to be reviewing The Thing 2011. Um, it's the third movie based on, I think the book is called Who Goes There? Or, man, I really should have looked that up. Anyway, so it's the third movie. You had the 1982 and then 1956. This one is a preview of the 1982 movie. I'm sorry, a prequel of the 1982 movie. Uh, Speaking of it being a prequel, I watched this movie, and at the time that I saw this movie, I think it was maybe 2 years after it came out, so like 2013, possibly 2014. I had no idea it was a prequel until the very end, right when, right when the movie's going off. They show Lars. He's like the sole survivor, and some random guy comes on a helicopter. I don't know if he was in the beginning of the movie or not. If he was, I forgot. Anyway, they show this guy landing his helicopter, and Lars like takes a shot or two at the guy, and then he checks him to make sure he has cavities. That's the way they're able to detect if someone's a thing in this movie, instead of doing the uh, like heating up metal and sticking it in like a blood sample. So yeah, so then he starts chasing the only dog that's left, and then that leads to the beginning of the 1982 movie. Anyway, I'm trying to remember the first time I saw this movie. It's a 2011, and I think because I didn't really care for the movie as much as a lot of like movies that I've loved in the past. I just kind of watched it. It was whatever. As time has gone on, I've seen the first one maybe 3 or 4 more times since I've watched this. And, it answers some of the questions I had from the first movie. It, it actually has some pretty cool scenes. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is the thing. It goes to separate Kate. She's the main character of the movie. So it suckers her into going into this room to look for some keys. When she goes into the room, she's like, the thing disguised as the only other woman there. It tells her, oh, look in that drawer over there, and you'll find the keys that we're looking for. A lot of people will be like, oh, you know where it is. You could just grab them. But, I guess she doesn't think that way. So she goes for the keys, and while she's looking for the keys, she could hear the thing transforming behind her, and it's a pretty cool scene. I really like it a lot. Another really cool scene from this movie is there's the only black guy that's with them at the facility. I don't know if he's like tired of them because they're having like a party after they discover the thing. I don't know if he's like grown tired of because they're like singing and stuff, you know. And I don't know if he like gets tired of like the music or whatever. But he acts like he's going to the bathroom, and he dips out. He goes and looks at the the thing, it's still like inside this block of ice, frozen. So he goes and looks at it, and he's like daydreaming or something while he's looking at it. And one of the guys sneaks up behind him and says "boo" really loud, scares the shit out of him. He looks like he's gonna have a heart attack. So, if that wasn't bad enough, about 10 seconds after that, well, the guy leaves, and then about 10 seconds after that, the thing burst out of the ice. I mean, it literally like jettisons out of like it goes through the ceiling and everything, which was kind of funny because, I mean, if it's still frozen inside of like like a 4 by like 8 block of ice, it would take a lot longer than that to like unthaw, especially if the ice is still completely frozen. But it's a movie. And then the final like scene and like the last act of the movie, like after they defeat the thing in its ship, the ship, I mean, it looked pretty fake, but it was cool. So it's just Kate. And then, man, I really should have wrote down the guy's name. The only guy that, I guess the guy that lasts to the end with her is what I'll call him. Yeah. Anyway, so they're riding in like this, like snowmobile, and they make it back to the facility that they came from. When they get back, she notices that his earring is in like the wrong ear. So because earlier in the movie they discovered that if someone is wearing something that's like not organic, it's kind of almost like Nope. The thing, it'll just like discard it like wherever. So she sees that, I guess, like the thing figured that out, and as opposed to like discarding it and just leaving it wherever, when the thing is after it's assimilated that guy, it takes his earring, but it puts his earring on the wrong ear, you know. So she sees that it's on the wrong ear. Now, there's a case to be made that this guy could have, got his earring knocked off, or, something like that, given the situation. And he could have, put it back on and just put it on the wrong ear. It's a possibility. And he seemed like a cool dude. He was really helpful and everything. I'd give him a little bit more of a chance to like explain, especially since you have like the flamethrower on the guy. She didn't, and she just like while he begged her not to, she just like let him up. But I think she was right. It didn't really like, he didn't really transform while he was burning, which, but at the same time, you don't want to, who knows what their next step was. And, they didn't show what happened to her after that. They just showed Lars, so we don't even know what happened with her. Well, I'm going to have to, yeah, I don't think they showed like what happened to her after that. Or maybe she just drove off. Yeah, I don't really remember. Yeah, I think that was it. Kind of weird. Anyway, so that was cool. I have a new question for myself. Whenever I review a movie, especially like a horror survival movie, I like to think like, what would I have done, or which character in the movie would I have been? And I think Kate, the main protagonist of the movie, She pretty much did like all the right things. You know, I probably wouldn't have survived as long as she would, as long as she did. But I'd like to think that I would have made all the right moves that she made. You know. But yeah, another thing that was kind of interesting. So the alien ship it crashed, 100,000 years ago, froze over. It's under, tons and tons of ice in Antarctica. So then, the thing it gets thawed out 100,000 years later, and in the final act of the movie, it makes its way back to the ship. I mean, why did it leave the ship anyway if it like would go back to it? You know, you would think it wouldn't go back to the ship because it's like, what is there for it on the ship? That's why it left it 100,000 years. You know what I mean? Another thing that they kind of added to this movie was a lot of CGI. I've seen people like bash in the movie, oh, that's bad CGI and all that. If you really look at like what the creature was like turning into, and sometimes when the creature was on fire, I mean, I thought it looked pretty bad. Especially when you have things like, Jurassic Park that came out in the 90s, or, movies in like the early 2000s. Like Star Wars or Spider Man. I realize those movies probably had like way bigger budgets, but it's like at the same time, like, you know, come on. And people said they used like too much CGI. I mean, I feel like it was a good amount of CGI because of what the monsters were doing, and they were moving really fast. You know, the monsters moving, the thing moving so fast, just that like speed alone kind of almost like makes it scary because it makes you wonder, like, man, how could I get away? You know. Uh, so I mean, I understand. I liked the way like the creature looked a lot of the time. It had this thing to where it when it changed, like the whole middle part of like somebody's torso turned into a mouth, which was pretty cool. I like that. Oh, another thing that I liked about the end of the movie is they showed like how they found the ship. So the ship, um, these Norwegian scientists were like tracking like the signal that the ship was making, and they were tracking the signal, and then when they got on top of the ship, they like the ice gave in on them, and their vehicle got like trapped in like this like crevice that when the ice gave in, it created. And I would like to have seen how they got out of that, in the middle of Antarctica. Another thing, like one of the characters, he didn't really speak English, and there was a few American characters, like 4 or 5 maybe, and they were like speaking their language, so it had the Americans kind of like confused, which added another like, you know, element of how do I say this? Of like the unknown, Imagine being in a situation like that, and these people are like speaking like a foreign language, and it's like a real scary situation. A lot of the time, they kind of like had each other's backs against like the Americans, so it was just kind of like you know it had like another like how do I say it? Just made it like a little bit more like difficult, I'll say, you know. What else can I say about this movie? Yeah, I really like it now, but I just didn't care for it when I first watched it, you know. But now I would say it's not quite as good as the first one, but still a really good movie. I'll probably end up even watching it again, even though after I review a movie, I generally don't watch it again because it's like I try to watch it before I review it. With this movie, I've seen it so many times, I didn't feel the need to, but after forgetting what happened with the main protagonist of the movie, I kind of feel bad. But I'm pretty sure she did. I'm almost positive she did get to safety or something. They had to have shown it, or maybe it was like an end credit scene or something. What else was I gonna say? That's about it. Any questions or comments? You can leave them. I'm gonna put a timeline. Gonna make my own short, scary movie. I'm giving myself 6 months. Shouldn't be that hard to do. It's gonna be about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and I'm really looking forward to it. And then as soon as I finish that, then I'm gonna start working on my magnum opus, my gift to the world. And I estimate that movie is going to be like 15 to 20 minutes. It's a lot. It's a lot that's going into it. But, I'm tired of just telling myself I'm going to do this. Telling myself I'm going to do that. It's time to just start doing things. But anyway, like, subscribe. Over and out.